It's just setting it up. All right, welcome everyone on Facebook to the XM Divas, kind of like a takeover of Opera Carolina's profile for the pre-show before the big art, poetry, music concert at 6 p.m. tonight. I am joined by my lovely Devo co-host, John White. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. Excellent to be here. So excited for today.
Yes, and of course, we are not the only good-looking faces on this gallery panel. As you can see, we have the entire cast of I Dream. And
how absolutely exciting. We have the entire cast. I mean, it's really absolutely fabulous that, especially on today, Martin Luther King Day, we have the entire cast of I Dream with us. So very excited to do this today.
Welcome, everyone. We are going to introduce each one of our incredible guests because we will just end up using the entire program to introduce them because of their incredible accolades and talent. So we'll let them give the elevator pitch once over. So starting with Douglas Tappin, the composer of I Dream. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, good evening, everyone. How are you doing, Megan?
Good, very good.
It's been a while.
It has. It's been a hot minute, but you know, we're in I Dream season. We're back up and running. So we'll be, I'm sure, back on the phone more often again. Wonderful. Derek Davis, welcome, our Martin.
Thank you very much. Hello.
There he is, Martin Luther King himself.
How's everybody doing?
We're gonna skip past the next most influential character because we want to give her own horn tooting at the end of the intros as a welcome to the cast. So, Kenny Overton, welcome, our Robert Abernathy.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing?
To see you, Kenny. Welcome back.
You guys are going to hear a lot more of Kenny on XM Divas all month of February. So get used to this face down below.
That's how we do it.
Victor Riot Robertson, is there an intro suitable for you? Oh, you're muted.
Here I am. Sorry. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Hi, it's good to see everyone's face. It's so wonderful to feel the energy instantly from this amazing cast and our new wonderful member. And thank you for having us.
Yes, Lucia Bradford, one of my favorite arias in the whole opera, girl. You got it.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, everyone, for having me on. And these are my people. And I'm so happy to be back with everybody.
Wonderful.
Now, yeah, so we have a new face to the I Dream cast. Allison Cambridge, welcome.
Yeah.
Mrs. Coretta.
Hey, everybody. It is so good to see all of you, some of the new faces and some familiar faces. And I'm just really honored and elated to be joining this amazing cast. Of course, I've seen the videos of y'all from your previous performances, and I'm just excited to dig in and to chat with everybody and all of you on this very special day.
Wonderful. Well, we are so excited. This is such a special treat before the concert this evening, but also as we get ready to embark on an incredible journey in the upcoming weeks and months, and of course, the road and the journey to I Dream. So Allison, I guess we'll just start right off with you. How excited are you to be joining this cast? Like, this is so awesome to have you back. I know with Opera Carolina before you've been our Carmen and our audience loves you, but what does it mean coming to this production?
I'm just so excited. I mean, actually, when I was cast as Carmen, my original audition actually was for I Dream, and I thought that I was going to be part of it back then. And I wasn't able to be at the last minute because of a conflict. But so it's been sort of like a long time coming. And, over the past, couple years, Victor Ryan Robertson is one of my closest friends. And he was telling me so much about the show. And I've gotten to know Douglas over the past couple years as well. And just the way that both of them have spoken with me about the show, and as you all have sort of alluded to, just sort of the infectious energy of the cast, and that sense of family and both the fun and the gravity of the subject matter, and how everybody is so committed as not only as singers and as actors, but as human beings to the subject matter. I just, like I said, I feel very honored to be a part of this show, and I thank you all for welcoming me.
Oh, that's really wonderful, because the cast, I could tell you, being involved in the original show myself, the cast is absolutely amazing. And you talked a little bit, you referenced Douglas, so I'd actually like to loop Douglas in here. It hasn't been that long since the show has been on stage, but I understand this new iteration of I Dream that we're going to see is different than the last one that we saw. Can you talk a little bit about maybe some of the new music or new themes that you've added to this show?
It's more to do with the focus of the piece. We have a new director, Tom Diamond, and Tom kind of asked me to go back to the beginning and tell him why this piece should be staged, which is always an interesting question when something's already been staged before. You want to kind of leave it and move on. But he challenged me about absolutely everything, defining the spine of the piece, defining character super objectives, and just trying to make sure that the flow of it and the story that we're trying to tell is as precise and is as strong as is possible. Difficult to speak about specific song additions. I'm not going to sing them, but there are some pieces. There are some things that were previously in it that are back in it. There was a song, Freedom Revolution. We had an interesting experience when some of the merchandise last time had a Freedom Revolution
Derek
tag
is so
on it.
excited about that one.
Yeah, and the song had actually gone from the piece at the time, so that's back. But the majority of the main character songs are still there. There's nothing gone. And regrettably, Ralph Abernathy, Kenny, didn't add the starring role and just lessening Martin's leading role in it for the sake of Kenny or Hosea or Grandma or Coretta. Sorry, folks. It's still about Martin, believe it or not.
Oh no, unbelievable. You're gonna have some riots on your hands.
Well, actually, 3 of those people didn't actually ask me to add extra scenes in, but I'm not going to tell you which one it was who did. Kenny.
What do you got to say, Kenny? Unmute yourself and take this one on.
That's very good. Maybe we could talk to Derek for a minute. Derek, what does it mean, especially today? What does it mean to pick up the name of Martin Luther King and put that onto your shoulders?
You know, it's funny. Just before we came on tonight, I watched a video recording that Stevie Wonder made concerning how his heart is heavy in this season, celebrating this day. It's always been an overwhelmingly challenging undertaking to step into the shoes of somebody like Dr. King, for obvious reasons. But after traveling the country as the Phantom prior to coming to I Dream during the current administration, the exiting administration of our country, I got a chance to firsthand experience what this country is actually made of and who the people are that actually make up this country. And overwhelmingly, it's not what the media portrays. However, the fact that there are so many people who still hold to the values of those that for generations have harbored hate in their hearts still exist in our country today and have been emboldened and have been given space and time to take focus in our country. It feels like there's no better time for something like this to happen. And I don't take it lightly at all stepping into I love the fact that Douglas so brilliantly penned a show that Dr. King is human and his humanity is transparent in this, but also the fact that in spite of his humanity, he was able to accomplish so much is something that everybody needs to hear right now. Like, don't wait until you're perfect to do great. Do great from where you are, you know? So I just am excited to be able to trumpet that with this team specifically in this time.
Amen to that. And on the stage, Victor, you have some really powerful songs that, you know, a lot of what you're singing, when you were singing that role, you know, a year ago, 2 years ago, getting ready for it, how do you think that role is going to change now in 2021 for you, or 22 and beyond, with what's going on in the country right now?
Really good question. I think that you have two. I think I represent maybe Malcolm X, Black Panthers, a little more fringe aspect of what we're seeing today. I don't want to equate, but King did not take that route, and I think it's pretty evident in our prison scene, which is a very riveting scene. And I think that kind of brings it all together from where he takes it from then on. I was I was watching a Netflix. I never watched Netflix, but I was watching a show called Monarcha, and it's like my favorite show. And it's the only show I watch. But it's what I was compelled. I was just blown away by the acting on such a high level. And I was thinking, I'd love to be in the show. But here's the thing: they were all from Mexico. They're all Mexican actors. They know it's in their blood. It's in their everything that they do. So I look at this cast and I think the talent is so high in this cast. It just makes me, I'm boiled over with happiness. I just look at everyone individually and go, I cannot believe we're doing this together. And I know we're just going to rise to the occasion because we have it in our bloodstream. We know what it's like to live the Black experience in America, but also other experiences because we're well traveled. So what we bring to the table, both vocally, artistically, and just and on a human level, it's phenomenally cast. And it makes me sing those arias even more important because I know that Derek's going to follow it and bring that house down. and I'll try my best to set it up right. He can't
You never fail.
Every night.
You never fail.
Well, it doesn't help that the music is really good too. So
Really did a wonderful job. So thank you. Yeah, it's set up perfectly for us to really just give our best interpretation of the times.
Wonderful. So Douglas, I guess kind of the same question for you when writing this. I mean, did you ever think that there would be such a need for this story more than now? I mean, you wrote it and you knew why, you knew how, but I think we know more now than we did then.
I don't know if you ever know when you write something, what it's going to become or be part of or part of the answer to. I don't know that that's possible. I think at the time I wrote it, I was certainly aware of the context of racial inequity and tension in the United States. And so, what is that going to go away? Is it going to get worse? Is it going to get worse than it is today? God forbid, but it could do. Someone asked me the other day whether I was surprised about what's happening in the present day. And of course, my answer is I'm not. The history of the United States through slavery, segregation, and whatever that became has not brought us to a place where we're living in a post-racial society magically. And so I think the context is a perpetual one. Sadly, I don't know that some of the things that we're experiencing today ever go away. I hope that they are not prominent. I hope they are underground. I hope that they are less. But I think that the relevance of this message that love is more important than hatred, and a way to overcome injustice and oppression is not through choosing violence as a means, is a message that I think is for all time, right? Isn't it? So
absolutely. And I hope some of these scenes I hope they're harder to watch on stage. When you watch the opera and it speaks to you and it moves you, you go through all these emotions. And I hope that it's harder to watch some of these scenes because you can really see what's happening in the country on the stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is always a role that art is meant to play, right? I think one aspect of art is was it Bertolt Brecht who said it's a hammer with which to shape reality. And so more than art mirroring reality, or if you want to flip it the other way around and saying that reality is mimicking art, I think that it's really a hammer to soften human hearts in the day and age in which we live. And you're right, it should be more potent. It should be more powerful presently, because I remember having a ridiculous conversation with a theater, and I'm not going to tell you who it was, that said that why would we want to put a piece like this on because racism doesn't exist anymore? And I'm like, you're kidding me. I don't know. I don't know where you live, Mars maybe, or something like that. But
I think everybody did the head twitch, like what?
yeah,
that's right. That's
I
exactly
saw
right.
like a lot of little teeny movements and all the.
I'll give the name up for a good meal.
So Lucia, your character plays a really impactful scene speaking to the younger generation. You have this beautiful piece in the opera where you are speaking to the young Martin and you are singing and you're really speaking to him as the next generation goes to see I Dream. What are some of your personal hopes for this opera? And again, not to touch on the current climate, but you know, how are they able to see themselves in these roles?
Oh, good question. And I don't know if everyone knows, but I'm an elementary school teacher. So actually I showed them the clip.
No idea. Okay, now my question's even better.
Exactly, yes. Yeah, and they were like, oh, and they were like, first of all, they said, oh, I didn't know that. They were like, I thought that you were the mother. Like, and I said, I know, me too. I didn't realize how influential his grandmother was. You know, when I read it, I was like, wow, he like attempted suicide, like when she died, like she had such an impact in his life and the foundational, the fundamental part of him, like those big major ideas, everything that we know that he represents, she instilled that in him. I was like, oh my God, this is a really, really important role. So thank you, Douglas. And it was very beautifully written too. So yes, I teach them, we talk about it. And it's funny, as teachers, sometimes we try not, we're like, I don't want to talk about that because they're so young. They're seeing it. They're seeing it, they're living it, they're hearing their parents, hearing the conversations that they're having and their, you know, feelings about it. And then they, as young as they are, they still, it's like to challenge them to still come to their own conclusions. Because the thing about kids, it's so funny, like when we get old, we get so jaded and things start to mix up and things get so confusing. For them, it's just like, yeah, but that's wrong. Or no, but that's right. You know, and it's so it's really good for this generation to make these decisions. Because, I mean, I've had to say, oh, guys, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that we are the one, we're leaving this crazy, you know, future and this time to you guys. I'm like, you guys have to remember this moment and make the changes and understand that your voices need to be heard. It's like now, more than ever, I see how important it is to vote, how important it is to speak out about inequality and justice for all. Like all these things we've heard, you know, growing up, now it's so real. It's really potent. I'm an 80s baby. So during that time, you know, it was kind of, I mean, this kind of thing, I didn't grow up with this kind of, you know. So now I'm like, oh my goodness, like we really have to get this word out. So I'm so happy for this production. It is the perfect timing.
Well, you said justice for all, and that kind of sunk on me just a little bit.
Right.
When you emphasized all, you know, we all did the Pledge of Allegiance when we were younger, but what does that really mean now? Like justice for all.
Yeah. Those are the things, like, and it sounds corny, right? Like sometimes like unity and love. If you don't instill those seeds, if you do not plant the seeds, and that's what his grandmother did in our generation now, we are really going to be lost. We are headed for destruction. So it's important. Thank you so much, Douglas and Opera Carolina. Like this, it's so crazy how this all worked out.
Well, it's, you know, it's such a great piece and it's such an important message. And some things I'd like to touch on what you just said, Lucia, right? These are real characters, right? It isn't so often in the operatic world where you get to put something on stage that not only is it extremely historically accurate, right? You have a lot of access to these characters, to the history of these characters and what it meant to the people around them. So I'd like to ask, maybe Kenny, I'd like to ask you, how do you prepare a role like this where you have the ability to really check in on these characters, who they were, what they were, how they did what they did? How do you, as an artist, as a singer, as an actor, prepare all of those things with such a rich ability to go in and talk about these people?
Yeah, well, I did a lot of research on this opera in particular, like I do on all of my other stuff. I read a lot. And there's so much material on the civil rights movement in general, but particularly on the Reverend Doctor. You know, I mean, I've got a stack over here of amazing material about him, but I also rewatched Selma. And I also was on a trip singing. I was in Montgomery, Alabama, and I was able to go to the new museum that just opened and was able to sing in the first church that he preached in. And so I absorbed all of this MLK energy, and he hangs in my house. Gigantic poster of him hangs in my house because I believe in energy, and that whatever I surround myself with, that's what gets into my pores. And so he's always here with me, and so I prepare both mentally and you know, that sort of Stanislavski method where I just eat it all up. I watch everything, I look at everything, documentaries, movies, like the whole bit. And then I try and put a little Kenny Overton on it, you know, add a little
less
spice.
method acting, a little more Overton spice to it.
Yes, you got to add some seasoning. Listen, got to add it.
That's great. And Allison, as the new kid on the block, new to this cast, new to this music, new to this idea, what are you doing to get into your character, to the extremely important Coretta character, to Derek's Martin? How do you crack into that character and access what all of this must have meant to her and to them at this time?
Yeah, I mean, I say I'm jealous that you all have been through this process together, and you've actually gotten to put your characters and live them on stage already. Because I haven't had that opportunity. You know, I have a score, and I up until, you know, the country shut down, I was in rehearsals every day, just practicing in New York. So excited to bring her to, you know, to bring her back to life in this show. But similar to what Kenny said, I think whenever you are portraying an actual person, an actual historic figure, not somebody who, you know, somebody who's fiction, it's really important to do your research. I liken it, at least my process for this, to when I was playing Sally Hemings, who was, you know, Thomas Jefferson's, there's some mistress, slave mistress, however you want to call it, that, you know, she was his slave, and she bore, you know, several of his children. When I was portraying that character, and it's like sort of a one-woman opera, I've been playing it for years, you know, there was no actual photo of her. It's like what people thought, and of different writings, but it was so much research to try and figure out like who she really was, right? And a little bit different from Kenny, I think for me, I tend to not like to watch other people portray a character I'm about to portray, because I feel like it might influence me a little bit too much. So I'd rather sort of do the reading, but to actually watch somebody act out certain things, I get too influenced by that. And I really want it to be something that's like organic from me and how I relate to the facts and to that person. So that has been my process thus far, although I know I might change it, you know, moving forward. But yeah, and then I like to just figure things out in the rehearsal hall. And it's so much about the energy that you are getting from your scene partners, and what they give to you influences how you respond to them. You can't just sort of come in, I don't think as an actor, you can't come in with a game plan and say, this is how I'm going to do this part, because you have to feel the energy of your castmates and what they bring to you and respond accordingly. And that's what I love about a rehearsal process in general. So, you know, I can't wait to actually get into the space and rehearse with all of you to, you know, to get Coretta up on stage.
And you know what's interesting too? I just realized something. I think I'm the only person that has done it with two different characters of each role.
Huh.
Like I've had two Hoseas, two grandmoms, two Martins. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. And it's
That could be a reality show, the way you just kind of blurbed it out there.
Yeah, it's different. And you know, the energy is different with each of them. You know, I get that.
I think that's great. And Douglas, how has that been for you, going through all the different changing faces of the character and the cast, and how do you see your baby growing?
It's it's always fun to see different interpretations of a character. The thing is for me to hold what is on the page relatively loosely, so that it isn't in any way restrictive, and so there's, you know, because words on a page and notes on a score are meant to be the beginning of a character, and working with Tom as a director and really clarifying super objectives, which you'll all get to dig into in due course. But it's always fun, and it's always astonishing. There's always a lot of things that I hadn't imagined, because the score and the script are just the tip of the iceberg in that sense, and the depth that actors bring, and orchestras bring, always astonishes me, that somehow this is what it actually looks like, because, you know, I'm sitting in the room that I do a lot of writing in, and it's a process of isolation a lot, and a lot of it is within your imagination. I don't have a imagination that's big enough to do the extraordinary things that it actually ends up being. So I always look forward to every iteration and every different character, but the chemistry in the cast, I can already feel the potential of that. So I'm looking forward significantly to us getting this locked down and getting underway and getting to rehearsals again.
I think everybody is ready for the rehearsal side of it. And, you know, this is an incredible cast. I don't know how many people that are watching right now. I'm watching these comments come in and people liking, and how many of you, raise your hand, have sang not just opera, but also Broadway and now singing musical. I mean, this cast has sang it all. And I think that's so incredible when it comes to jumping from opera to Broadway. I mean, music's just universal. Like, let's just be honest. It is what it is. Derek, how has this transition been for you, for those who are watching that maybe think this is Opera Carolina bringing your Broadway cast to Charlotte?
How has the experience been?
Yeah, like the transition between going from Broadway to opera. I know all of you have stories, so feel free. This is kind of an open-ended question, just starting with Derek, but how has that been, you know, vocally?
Well, vocally is oh God, this is my brain just went 72 different directions with this one question, because it's like, it's music is music, right? Storytelling is storytelling. It's just a matter of technique and placement when it comes to the different style of music that you're singing. So it's just been, I love this process so much, specifically because it's not a new work, but every time we've approached it like it was a new work. So it's that energy and that creative energy, and Douglas and the creative team has consistently been open to all of our thoughts, all of our feelings about what we're feeling the characters are doing. So it's I think this particular process has been unique unto itself. So I can't really compare it to other opera moments that I've had or being on Broadway. It's been a love fest. It's just been so much fun to just jump into it. So it's just been positive across the board.
Anyone else want to share kind of their joys of kind of jumping in and out of the opera shoes and then the Broadway shoes? Or
for me, actually, you kind of have to jump in and out of it within this piece. Like what Douglas has written, like it calls on you to do a lot of different styles and a lot of different things in I Dream. And everybody ain't able. I'm gonna just put it out there. Everybody's not able to go to Broadway to R&B to this to that. But this cast right here, they know how to do it. So, you know, we have a great time. And you know, I've never sung that many styles of music in one piece and one story and made it as seamless as Douglas demands.
Well, I think that's maybe one of the great things to have, right? As opera performers, it's not so often that we get to go on stage and we're singing Puccini or Mozart or Verdi. We say, you know, hey, you know, Wolfgang, how do you feel about that moment right there?
Oh, I remember seeing Allison's Rocktopia pictures, and I was like, dang, what? Like, this girl's coming to Carmen. I was like, oh my God. Like, I just, sometimes even being in the opera world so long, you see people in their alter ego and you're like, oh, okay. Wow.
Totally different. But we have the opportunity, right, to talk to Douglas and ask him, what does this mean? How are we doing? Should we be doing this? And to Kenny's point, there are a lot of different styles in this show. And I think, and weigh in, is it extremely valuable to have the man who wrote the notes right in front of you?
Yes.
Anytime you are able to work with a living composer in the moment is like, it's something a lot of people don't get the opportunity to do.
Sure.
Like I said, I had that experience with the Sally Hemings, with William Bolcom, and I was there with the librettist and with Bill Bolcom as we were recording the CD, and he is every song like giving me notes and telling me, this was my idea when I wrote that. That's an invaluable, like an amazing experience. And so I can't wait to dig into it more with Douglas. And even when I auditioned however many years ago it was, I remember, I sort of sang it straight the first time I went through the piece. And then he was like, okay, can you jazz it up, straight tone it? I was like, yes, yeah, great. A little more pop, a little more bluesy, sure, no problem. But it's, it's really exciting to get to sing multiple genres and styles of music within one show, and to embrace the diversity of our vocal abilities. And I also will say that in general, this is the music industry, the classical music world has changed. It is forever changed. And this notion of people having to stay in one narrow lane or stay in their box or whatever, it's really starting to go away. If not, I mean, it really is. And so I think a piece like this exemplifies that in a really beautiful way. So I'm so excited.
Opera singers have been pivoting before pivoting became a thing.
Hello. Hello.
But Megan, the astonishing thing is that everyone here can do it.
Right.
But not everyone in the opera world can. Because I can think of how difficult it has been to cast this. Victor, you were in this room with me when we were exploring extremes of how out of it's like this and if it's like that and where does this thing land. Lucia, I chased you out of the audition room to say, come back in and can you do that another way? and Derek, we were wrestling with lyrics the other day. And even here, I just scribbled an amendment to the last line of I Dream that occurred to me while we were here. And so it's a fascinating, collaborative, astonishing, ongoing process. It's extraordinary. Just a real blessing to be able to be part of this, and thank everyone who's helping to make it a reality again.
A wonderful show, an absolutely wonderful production,
so
and
good.
it really is, and it's going to be so exciting, I think, to continue to put this together as we all sort of struggle through the current climate that we're in, that is COVID.
So speaking of that current climate, we'd like to know what you guys, I know John is leading up for this question as we kind of wrap up the interview, is what have you all been doing during your COVID time? We've been doing some things. Vic?
I'm just going to kick this off right now and say, everybody just right now, go ahead and thank Atlanta and Georgia. No, I'm sorry. And thank Stacey Abrams. So the reason I brought that up was when you're playing an historic piece, historic characters that you grew up with. I live literally a quarter of a mile from Ebenezer Church right now. It becomes almost legendary, and it becomes two-dimensional. You don't see that these people are really living real lives. And to see the movement in the past 3 months of someone out of nowhere, basically, Stacey Abrams, she's not even embraced in the upper Black political structure here. They don't know what to do with her. No one knows she is an enigma. She is doing her own thing, and she's doing it with such integrity, such intelligence, and she's a force, and she can't be stopped. And to see that on the streets for the past 3 months in this neighborhood that I'm living in, then you get a sense of what's at stake here. And then, so I'm going to bring that back into the role when we start rehearsing. bring the life back into it instead of, because Douglas, you wrote such amazing music that it becomes almost like you just want to sing the hell out of it. You know, you just want to sing it and get a huge applause because it lends itself to that. But really, I want to bring it back now to make it more human. And these are real people in real situations, extreme situations. And to see it kind of in the past 3 months, how a movement gets momentum and everybody catches on and it becomes a wonderful thing is phenomenal, actually. Not to get all political or anything like that.
No.
Great point. Absolutely great.
I thought you were just going to tell us
Atlanta-
about all the tennis you've been playing while you have been having this time off.
No one's clapping for Atlanta. No.
Well,
What else? What else has been happening?
Well, I will say that Vic and I have been working on something.
Yes.
So in so many ways, obviously the pandemic's been so horrible, and there has been no live performance. I will say though, the biggest news for me anyway has been this: it has afforded me the time to start my own show. I'm the co-creator and co-producer of a new show called Rock Me Amadeus, which is, you can call it a spin-off. It's basically a reincarnation of Rocktopia that I did on Broadway. And the music director and I basically, once that show shut down, we said, we're going to go do our own thing. Yeah. And so we have created our own show, and Victor is the newest cast member of the show. And so we launched online in September, and we've been releasing music videos, one a month, and we mash up rock music, hip hop, pop, grunge with classical music and opera in this totally cool way. It is awesome. Yes, it is all about fusion, and we just have an amazing cast. And so what we're doing now is releasing the music videos, and then fingers crossed, live shows in fall of 2021. But that is
fabulous.
It's been my baby, so I'm really excited.
And it now makes sense why I've been getting all those Photoshop questions, Vic. Those early morning, hey, how do I edit this video?
I can't keep asking Allison. She's like, she won't even pick up the phone anymore. She's like, if you don't learn how to do this stuff.
To be clear, just so that everybody's clear, where can we connect to be a part of that and to follow the journey?
So you can go to rockmeamadeuslive.com, and that's our Instagram handle and our Facebook page and our YouTube channel.
Going there now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fabulous. Excellent.
Kenny, what's been going on?
Listen, after the first 2 months of the pandemic, when I was on my couch eating and watching Netflix and crying as every contract evaporated into thin air, I got my ass up, talked to the Lord, and got busy. I'm in the process of producing a film. I am in the process of being in a film myself with a whole bunch of singing, with this amazing historical filming of New York City through the Black musical experience. And that is coming out in the spring. More on that later. I've been featured in a spread in Opera News.
Whoa!
I've gotten nominated for a Grammy. Listen, 2020 was not all bad.
Good for you.
Good thing Douglas got you in that contract before all this fame, or else, you can't be afforded those Overton prices.
Listen. See, Douglas, you should have wrote my aria in there. Now I'm be even more expensive. It's going to be very difficult now.
Going back to the fun part about working with a living composer, you get these kind of demands.
It's above me now, Douglas. I don't know what
else. Excellent.
All right, let's throw the ball. Jonathan, who you want to pick on next?
Let's go. I'd love to hear what Lucia has been up to. Being a teacher, how have you adapted during this time?
Oh, it was crazy. Like
I can imagine.
We did remote teaching, learning, tap the kids in there, their devices, the parents are freaking out, the administration was freaking out. It was crazy. But thank God I had a job, y'all, because I just got my place and I was like, oh my God, everything got pulled with everyone else. All my gigs were done. So that was really sad. There was a moment I didn't want to sing. It was kind of weird. Like I was like, a lot of people like I was singing every day, not me. And even
No.
like I tried, it was very strange, and almost to the point where I got a little nervous because at first it was March, April, then May came around, and I was like, oh, I still don't want to. And then someone called me for like, an online thing. They were like, we want to, you feature you, with the string quartet and contralto, Julia Perry Stabat Mater, really good music. And then I was like, okay, I'm ready. It was so weird. I just needed inspiration. So yeah, I did that, and I just started doing the online thing, and people are working it out. There's a opera actually being worked out with living composers and arrangers, and it's called Death by Life, and it's with White Snake Projects, and I think they've always had the operas online and virtual. So, it's kind of like they're happy that things are moving in this direction. So I'm very excited about it. And yeah, so teaching has been great. The kids are great. You work it out. All right. It just gets
Adapt.
out.
You
know
have
what
to
I mean? And
adapt.
the kids, they're adapting.
You don't evolve, you evaporate.
Exactly.
But it's
That's
really
absolutely true.
I think it's really weird because when you go, we're all type A kind of personalities, and you got to be almost that to be an opera singer. But you go a month without singing, which would never ever happen were it not for a pandemic. But you go a month and then you practice. You're like, oh, I still got it. You're kind of surprised that you still have. You're like, of course, I've been doing this every single day for 20 years. And so I think a month or two or even 3 off would be fine. We probably need it. We're we go over the top. We're always working and nonstop and have to overachieve and blah, blah, blah. It's nice to be forced to not give a damn, for a little while.
Yeah.
Derek, you're in the city that never sleeps.
Oh,
How has that been
right
watching?
It was traumatizing, actually. At the beginning of it, my apartment was, I have since moved because of this, but my apartment was right on Broadway in Astoria, and that's the main thoroughfare where the ambulances would go down. And for 2.5 months straight, every 5 minutes, day and night, was just an ambulance going by, and it became like Chinese water torture, and so I had to move. So I moved into my new apartment, which I love. So I'm very happy about that. But the pandemic gave me so much time for self-reflection. I mean, I've done a ton of things as far as building. We're go-getters, we're hustlers, we're hard workers. We have to be, for so many reasons, be the ones that push harder than everybody else to get ahead, So we have all the pokers in the fire at the same time. But one thing that I realized that I was not taking time for was my sanity. And after playing all these roles and throwing myself into these roles, being left by myself quietly, it was the loudest silence I had ever heard in my life, And I said, you know what, either I'm going to succumb to this, like so many probably have during this pandemic period, or I'm going to work on myself so that even in the quiet time, I'm good, And so I got a therapist, and I became I'm the biggest advocate for therapy and mental health and everything like that, because it's just like if you break a finger, you're going to the doctor. If you're going through something emotionally challenging, you want to speak to somebody who has the credits to help you through it, not just a friend all the time. Anyway, so that I spent a lot of time with. As far as professional, I started teaching virtually at CCM, Cincinnati Conservatory of Music. And yeah. Oh, Lucy, I didn't even tell you. Yeah, I'm a teacher.
Fun fact.
So
get that money, honey. Get that.
Hello, good morning. Come in. Yeah, so I've been doing that. This will likely be my last semester because hopefully we'll move back into a space where we can be performing and gainfully employed in the things that we love. But also, there was an event that I co-produced in Manhattan in the Times Square area. It was called Lights Out on Broadway. And it became like one of the most popular curated open mics in New York. And we lost our venue because the venue closed and a ton of other things. But now we've been picked up, hopefully, by a virtual service. And I can't say too much, but if you follow me, Dream Climber, on all platforms, it'll definitely come out. But we're working really hard to make sure that there's a space be it virtually or in person, for performers to express themselves. And so that's what we're really seeing.
That's an inspiring message. That's what we need. I think performers in this space need to see other people performing, need to see that it's still an option. It's still viable. We can, if you don't adapt, like you're saying, you don't move forward, and we will figure out how to do that. And I think that's an important message. I know that the podcast in Opera Carolina want to thank every single one of you for showing up today, because
amazing.
So
Thank
important
you for this.
So important. Your message, your words are inspiring. It's not a surprise to us, but I know the people listening have been inspired, and I know that we cannot wait to get back together and put this on stage.
Yes,
so,
I think maybe not a Zoom reunion, but we'll get everybody in one room. We'll get back together.
Absolutely.
Can we shout out Maestro Mina for being one of the biggest cheerleaders?
Yes, he should be watching. Obviously, yes.
Like the way that he has fought for this piece and for it not to go by the wayside during this crazy time that we're in, it just speaks to him, his character, and his passion for it. So thank you, Maestro. We love you.
Thank you.
Yes. And
Absolutely.
Thank you everyone for watching. And don't forget, in about 14 minutes now, we'll be streaming the art, poetry, music, celebrating the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. So please stay tuned. Thank you to the cast, and we will see you all back on here again.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.